Welcome to the Humane Society of Durham Region Volunteer Dog Walking Orientation. In this orientation, we will go over dog handling rules, the color levels, types of aggression, body language, dog behaviors, in case of emergencies, the different dog collars, and the dog park rules. Let's start with the general rules. Always read the dog communication book and the dog walking list before handling the dogs. This will give you all the important information of who to walk first and who to walk last. The most important rule is you must scoop the poop. This is for health and safety and sanitation protocols. Always avoid staring a dog in the eyes. This is a very threatening gesture. Avoid leaning over a dog or moving your hand directly over the dog's head. Again, a very threatening gesture. Never move a dog by the collar. This can cause a lot of harm. Never touch a dog who is eating or drinking, as they can be resource guarding. Avoid touching or handling dogs that have not been assessed yet. Do not push dogs out of the way with any objects such as a scoop, mop, or anything else. This can cause the dog to become fearful of these objects. Never put your face close to a dog's face. This is putting you at close proximity to a very dangerous bite. Always pass dog walkers on the opposite side of the dog, acting as a barrier. We ask please be courteous, respectful, and professional to the staff, other volunteers, and members of the public. We are all part of the same HSDR team. Learn to read a dog's body language before handling the dogs. Always ask for staff to move a dog if you're unsure of the dog, or ask them to introduce you if you're not too sure. We always ask, do not set the dog up for failure. What this means is each dog has its own capacity. You want to work within that capacity, as some dogs can be very, very nervous. All dogs are color-coded based on their behaviors and personalities. This will tell you which dogs you can and cannot walk. After today's orientation, you can work with any orange level dog. This means you have to keep the dogs on HSDR property. Once you've completed 15 hours of volunteering, you move to brown level. This means that you can take the dogs off property. Now, this doesn't mean you can put them in your car and take them home for the afternoon, but means you can go around the big block. Once you've been with us for 3 consecutive months, you've shown really great skills with the dogs, we'll invite you to red level training. This is where you'll get more experience on dog behaviors and how to handle different types of dogs. Again, once you've shown really great skills with the red level dogs, you've been a great member of the HSDR volunteer team, we'll invite you to become gold level. As a gold level volunteer, you're essentially a dog trainer. You'll come in specifically to do training lessons with particular dogs that have behavioral issues. These are the dogs that really need you because they need that extra bit of care. There are many different types of aggression a dog can have, such as fear-based aggression, dominance aggression, territorial aggression, food and toy possessiveness, dog aggression, redirected aggression, maternal aggression, and pain-induced aggression. There's also separation anxiety. These are all types of aggression that you could encounter in the shelter environment. Now we'll go into details of dog behaviors. We'll start off with a shy and fearful dog. They usually stay at the back of their cage, they lower their heads, they're flat in their ears, they're trembling. Trembling does not always mean the dog is cold. It can mean that they're very nervous. Another big indication of a shy and fearful dog is they lower their tail between their legs and flatten it against their body. They can freeze and refuse to move. They might try to hide. In some extreme cases, they may urinate. Sometimes they'll expose their bellies. But you have to be careful. If a fearful dog is cornered, they may bite. This is an example of an extremely fearful dog. As you can see, he is in a total vulnerable position with his belly exposed. His tail is tucked, his ears are flat, his eyes are partially closed. This is another example of a fearful dog, but in the defensive threat position. So you can see the dog is still fearful as the tail is tucked close to the body, but you can see he is ready to defend himself. His hackles are raised, his ears are back, and his lips are slightly curled. This is the dog that you want to be very careful with. We will now go over how to deal with a fearful dog. What you want to do is you want to approach them slowly with your body turned to the side. This makes you look smaller and not as threatening. You want to kneel down to their level. What you can do is toss the end of the leash in the dog's direction to give him a chance to smell it. What we are trying to do is work within the dog's capacity, but using their curiosity to overcome his fear. When you open the cage door, allow the dog to come to you. Now, this may take a couple minutes, but talk to them softly. Let them come to you on their own terms. You want to attach the leash slowly under the chin of the dog. Act calm and cheerful. Never force a dog to do something that they are afraid of. Some of the dogs we get in the shelter are too scared to go for a walk, so it is okay if you come in just to sit in their runs with them. We want to help build their confidence and to be comfortable around humans. We ask, do not allow strangers to pet a shy and fearful dog, especially over their head, as we don't know how they would react to those people. On the other end of the spectrum, there's the dominant dog. These are the very confident dogs. They usually stand at the front of their cage. They have high energy. They're going to have high percentage of eye contact. They'll walk in a stiff, intense manner. They're going to bark at you, jump up on you, bite the leash, clothing, or your arms. They're going to ignore your commands, try to go out the door first. They're often food and toy possessive and may not like other dogs. They do not like to be restrained or hugged. They have a strong drive to exert their own will. Now, a dog can learn to be dominant gradually. Dominance is a psychological thing, not a physical thing. Small dog syndrome is a real thing. As you can see, this dog's body language is very dominant. The ears are up, the lips are curled, the hackles are raised, and the tail is up. This is very different compared to the shy and fearful dog where the ears were down and the tail was tucked. You can tell this dog is very confident and very dominant. Now let's go over how to handle a dominant dog. We ask not to stare at the dog. Do not lean over the dog. Do not grab the dog by the collar. Again, this is putting your hand in a close proximity to a bite. Do not restrain or hug the dog. Also, don't show fear towards the dog. We talk a lot about working within the dog's capacity, but work within your capacity as well. If you're too nervous, that's okay. Walk a different dog or ask a staff member to introduce you. Do not allow the dog to jump up on you. The best way to handle this situation is to turn your back on the dog and remain completely still. Only reward the dog once he has 4 paws on the ground or he's sitting. Then you can turn around and give him lots of positive praise. If he continues to jump, continue to ignore him. Only give him attention when he's showing the good behaviors. We ask not to wake up a dominant dog that is sleeping. Keep away from their food and water bowls as they may have resource guards. We ask not to roughhouse or excite the dog. Do not take toys from the dog's mouth. What you can do is have multiple toys in your pockets. If the dog does not release the toy, you have another toy to exchange. Approach with confidence and without hesitations. Dogs can tell if you're nervous. Keep him away from other dogs' cages in case he's dog aggressive and redirects back on you. If a dog escapes, inform a staff member or ask for help right away. Do not scream or yell at the dog or run after the dog. This will make the dog run farther away. Try to encourage the dog to come towards you by going in the opposite direction and making that opposite direction really exciting and really fun. This way you can encourage the dog to come back into the building or secure them into the dog park. Try not to panic. Try to remain calm. If you are bitten, do your best to remain calm. Freeze and keep absolutely still. Avoid making eye contact. Avoid making any noises. Please do not hit, kick, or fight the dog. Try to leave the room or the dog park slowly without alerting the dog and ask for help. If you are bitten, please report the bite to any of the HSDR staff. We need to make sure that it's cleaned out properly and you are given the medical help that you need. With this being said, please avoid being bit at all costs. Not only for your safety, but for the sake of the dog. If any animal scratches or bites and it breaks the skin, we are required to report it to the Durham Region Health Department. They then put the dog on a 10-day quarantine. That means they have to spend 10 extra days in the shelter instead of their forever home. Please use what you've learned today about body language and dog behaviors to try to avoid this at all costs. Dogs are always communicating, so they'll tell you if they're uncomfortable. So again, work within their capacity so it doesn't lead to a bite. There are different types of dog collars. The first one is the flat collar, the slip collars, and the martingale collars. We do not use the flat collars in the shelter because when dogs are scared or frightened, they'll back up and the flat collars go straight over their head. The type of collar we use in the shelter is a martingale collar. This ensures that the collar will not slip over the dog's head and let the dog escape. As you can see, there are 3 rings on the martingale collar. Please always attach the leash to the active ring. If the leash is not attached to the active ring, it turns into a flat collar, and again, that can slip right over the dog's head. If you have any questions about how to attach the leash to the collar, please ask a staff member. We're happy to help. We have a really nice dog park in the backyard. There are a couple rules. The first rule is to make sure to read the dog walking list to ensure what dogs are allowed to go in the dog park and which dogs are not allowed to go in the dog park. When you're in the dog park with a dog, please leave the leash attached to the dog's collar. We ask this because if the dog is getting too excited, aggressive, or in a state that you cannot handle, it is a lot easier to step on the leash and pick it up than trying to grab him by the collar and attaching the leash. This is the safest way to do it. When you're in the dog park, do not allow the dogs to run up and down the fence at any time, especially if they're barking aggressively, growling, or biting. This is showing the dog is getting too excited by the other dogs they can see and they can redirect onto you. Please do not play tug of war with the dogs. It may seem like a fun game, however, it's teaching bad behaviors. Because when that dog is adopted and they pick up the owner's shoe, the owner tries to take that shoe away and it turns into a game. Please do not try to rip the toys out of the dog's mouth. Again, you're putting your hand in close proximity of a bite. So what you can do, like I said earlier, is put multiple toys in your pockets. That way, if he doesn't drop the tennis ball, you have another one in exchange. Again, do not allow the dogs to jump up on you. If they do, turn and ignore them till they've calmed down. We also ask not to repeat commands over and over. This is because if you say to the dog, sit, 5 times, and he doesn't sit till the 5th time, he starts to learn he can wait until you say it at least 5 times until he decides to sit. Please do not chase the dogs or have them chase you. Again, this puts you in a close proximity of a bite. It is absolutely mandatory to scoop after the dogs in the dog park and anywhere you have the dog. Always close the dog park door securely and attach the brass clip for extra safety to ensure that it's closed. Important things to remember when working with the dogs in the shelter. Safety is always first. Use what you learned about dog behaviors and body language to safely work with the dogs. Work within their capacity, but also work within yours. Ask questions anytime. The HSDR staff are always here and happy to help. It's better to ask than to assume. Most dogs will warn before biting. We never correct growling because that's them communicating with us that they're uncomfortable. Avoid challenging dogs in any shapes or form, so no staring contests or scolding. We always use positive reinforcement in the shelter. You want to encourage those good behaviors and ignore the bad behaviors. This will set them up for success in their adoptions. Another important factor working within the shelter environment is biosecurity. The dogs in the shelter can have many different diseases that are transferable to other dogs as well as to humans. We have biosecurity levels put in place to reduce the transmission of diseases between dogs. These levels are indicated on the dog's door. This will tell you who to walk first and who to walk last. If you see a dog with a green circle, which is level 1, they are low risk of infectious disease. You want to walk these dogs first. Next, level 2, which is an orange triangle, means that they have something that is potentially contagious, such as intestinal parasites or anything like that. You want to walk these dogs last and do not go back to level 1s after interacting with level 2s. This is because you are putting the level 1 dogs who are healthy at risk. Level 3 is a red octagon, which is very high risk, which is usually staff only and in our isolation area. Each dog run will be marked to denote its biosecurity level. Levels can change at any time, so please always read their door. This is the biosecurity level chart. It will always be in the dog communication book as well as posted in the dog hallway. Again, you want to walk biosecurity level 1 dogs first, as these are the healthy dogs. Then you want to walk biosecurity level 2 dogs last because they have something potentially contagious. Also, you do not want to go from a level 2 back to a level 1. You are putting them at risk of transmission of disease. We want to keep everyone healthy, happy, and safe in the shelter environment. There is a lot to remember when working with dogs in a shelter environment, but the next step of orientation is to come in and do your buddy walk. You'll be teamed up with a senior volunteer who will walk you through and show you the ropes. But at the end of the day, please have fun. This is what you're here for. You're here to enrich the lives of the dogs who are waiting for their forever home. There's nothing more rewarding than working with a shy and fearful dog, helping them gain their confidence, and seeing them go off to their forever home. We appreciate you, all your hard work, support, and dedication. Thank you for becoming an HSDR Dog Walking Volunteer. We are very excited to have you part of our team.